hello.
Oh, hello.
And welcome to the Comic Queens podcast. I'm Alex.
And I'm Annie, and we're super happy to have you here with us today. We kind of thought that it would be really fun for this episode to do a highlight on one of our favorite writers for multiple of our favorite comics, honestly. They are a BL powerhouse, and to be completely honest, they write some of the best boy loves out there, in our opinion.
All of my favorites.
Yeah, truly all of the favorites. I know we've touched on this probably a couple times, and a lot of people who read on Manta have definitely come across it if you've read a boy love. Mm-hmm. A lot of boy loves can be extremely toxic. Like, extremely toxic. It's kind of the understatement of the century. But we have found that these Moscareto ones are incredible. They are so funny. The characters are actually like wholesome and have like good traits about them. And there are actually some green flag characters. So today we're going to do a deep dive into some of our favorite Moscareto stories that are available on Manta and just kind of give you our recommendations from there. So starting out, the first Moscareto story that Alex and I ever read was actually The New Recruit. It is a completed series with 35 episodes. The perfect bingeable amount, I would say. It's like
It
a
is.
good
It's
one.
easy to read in a couple of days.
Yeah. I mean, unless you're crazy like us, and then it's a perfect read in a day.
Mm-hmm.
Just a nice little night that you cozy up. But essentially, The New Recruit is a story about Seung-Hyun Woo, who starts working at a company in basically a creative field. Like, he's just fresh out of college. He's trying to like intern and get his foot in the door with a company. And at the same time, he's broke. He's still hung up on this person he's had a crush on since college, who's named Yoo Sung-na. And he's basically just like, I can't get involved with anybody. I have to focus on building my career. And that, of course, is where our story begins. He then begins working under Jong-chan Kim, who is an incredible CEO. He's very involved. He loves
He's
people.
not even a CEO. He's a manager.
I guess so, yeah. He's just a regular manager, but it's his manager.
Yeah.
Who essentially has a history of hating his interns, which kind of scares Seung-hyun a little bit.
Mm-hmm. He's got a reputation for it outside of the workplace. So much so that he comes in knowing, oh, I don't know if I want to work for this guy.
I know. It's so sad. But they end up working together. And because Seung-hyun has a lot of drive and he's extremely passionate about his job, obviously Jong-chan kind of takes a liking to him. Mm-hmm. So from there, they start working on projects together. They, kind of get this project done. And Seung-hyun is like doing way above and beyond everything he's supposed to. He's giving like wonderful insights, etc. And so once they're done with this presentation, they all go out for a company team dinner. And everyone's kind of pressuring Seung-hyun to drink, which he really doesn't.
There is such a drinking culture and pressure to drink in so many of these.
It's
and
so true.
Especially with the office romance ones, which, I love an office romance. But that is something that I see over and over again is just like, it's just understood that if you go out with your team, you are going to drink, and someone is probably going to get so drunk that they can't walk home. I cannot imagine getting so drunk with my coworkers that I cannot walk home.
Me either. I will say, though, like, on the flip side of it, if you didn't have to pay.
I mean, you've got a good point.
Like, if you're wanting to have a fun time and it's not on your dime, that's, like, the best time. It's just you're also, like, there's that trade-off. You're going to embarrass yourself in front of all of the people that you then have to see the next day.
Yeah. I mean, talk about a walk of shame. Going back into that office.
Yeah, no kidding. You could go perfectly prim and proper, but everybody saw you last night.
Everybody knows.
Everybody knows. So they go out to this dinner, and Seung-hyun makes it quite obvious he doesn't really want to drink. Mm-hmm. To which Jong-chan's response is that he's just going to drink everything that was poured for him. A
true hero.
A true hero. Seung-hyun ends up drinking a little bit, ends up helping a drunk friend, and they end up sharing their first kiss, essentially, like after this company team dinner. There's then like a miscommunication about their relationship. And basically the story from there just grows into, honestly, one of the most adorable boy loves I've ever read.
They are the best characters. They are super adorable. And I have to say, what drew me into this story at the beginning wasn't even the characters. It was the actual industry that they work in, because it's very adjacent to the world that we work in. Yeah. And so that was something that like drew me in. I was like, oh my gosh, I love reading about industry adjacent things, and this is so much fun. And then the characters like really hooked me, and I just love the story.
It is so true. I will say, if you're wanting something extremely wholesome with incredible characters, watching them grow together, not a bunch of toxic behavior, etc., it is an incredible read, and I highly recommend binging it.
And it's a drama, too.
It is.
So, I love drama as well. And it's like a drama without being like a toxic character drama.
I know.
Which is very different. I think you love those kind of dramas, too.
I love a lot of different kinds of dramas, but if it's like a drama where there's stuff going on in the background, but like the characters are still super solid, you don't have to like morally do a bunch of jumping through hoops to like make things okay in your head.
Yeah.
That's my kind of drama.
That is my favorite kind of drama, is like a me and you against the world.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And like, they're just great. They're a great couple. Ultimately, 10 out of 10. Moscareto consistently hits it out of the park, but this is definitely what had us hooked on their works.
Yep.
So
definitely. So another one that we both love and have read, and I read this first. So this one is Love of Cloud and Rain. It's also a completed series. A little bit longer, 51 episodes, but still not too long. You can binge it in a day or two if you like to obsessively read like we do. But this one is about a vet whose name is Jung, and he is about ready to open his clinic. And on the first day, he's walking down the street and he finds a little lizard who is in trouble, which tugs at my own heartstrings. I love lizards. And so he picks up this lizard and brings it back to save it, and basically gives him water and brings him back to life. Well, it turns out that he's not just an adorable little blue lizard. He's actually the Dragon King's son. Oh my gosh, we got there. We'll get there. Woonwoo. And he lives underwater because he's a Dragon King son. And he ends up coming to the land and goes is trapped as this little dragon and gets rescued by Jung. And basically they have to be intimate for him to like replenish his energy. And so that's like the whole story. There's some undertones of there's some bad guys who are out to seek Wonwoo, and yeah, basically they fall in love while Wonwoo is on his journey to become a full-fledged dragon, and it's super adorable.
This one was so funny to me. Like every single time, Wonwoo is just such a good character.
I love him.
They play him off so well as like this godlike character from another world who doesn't understand the workings of the real world. Mm-hmm. And then this just average person who's just trying to live their life. The dynamic is so great. Mm-hmm. And I love them as a couple. They're absolutely wonderful. And it has had me like buckling over laughing. And it also made me cry.
It made me cry too. There was one part, and it's part of the vet storyline.
Yeah.
And I won't say much more because I don't want to spoil it for anyone, because it is a really, really good, tragic, but heartwarming in the end plotline. And if you've read this, you know exactly what we're talking about. But it's such a good story. It's heartwarming, tragic. Also, Wonwoo loves peaches, which is just a hilarious plotline throughout the whole thing, that he's just absolutely obsessed with peaches. That's all he wants to eat.
And we will spare you from our rendition of the Bowser song.
We'll spare you. We don't spare anyone else.
No, we don't. So consider yourselves lucky. But it is such a good story. I do highly recommend it. I'm glad that you got me to read it.
Yeah. It took a while, but we got there.
It took a while, and as soon as I started it, I binged it.
I knew. Honestly, when I got to the one plot line and I was sitting in my recliner sobbing by myself, I knew that I sent you immediately a text and said, you need to read this one right now. It's so good.
It's true. We got there eventually, so it's fine. So on the completed series track here, there's also another Moscareto story called Miss You, Lucifer. I also highly recommend this one. This one's actually the shortest of the 3. So it's only 22 episodes, even easier to read.
You could definitely binge this one in a day.
Yes, we challenge you to binge this one in a day if you have not read it already. But basically, the characters for this one, you have Lucifer, who is basically a part of this D-list idol group. They're not super popular. They're dressed like super gaudy and like they just don't catch on. But the group is called the Sweet Devils. And again, they're not great. Like, they're just kind of an average group that you'd see and you're like, oh, one-hit wonder maybe, who knows?
They play at the mall is like their thing, is they go on tours of different malls, just not set up on a stage, just kind of in the middle of a mall.
Yeah. And then, in comes Kwon Jun Kang. Basically, they have the opportunity to work together on a project. And essentially, Lucifer is talking about how he would give like anything to spend a night with Kwon Jun Kang. And Kwon Jung just happens to overhear this. And he's like, yeah, well, I mean, I guess we can make that happen. And like gets him his number. And so like, it's so funny because it's basically one of those miscommunications that propels the story forward. But basically, like, it's each of them being like, do I do this? Do I do this? And then they keep moving forward and it happens because they're both like, I mean, I'm interested, but are they interested? And so they finally ended up sleeping together. And then you find out that Kwon Jun Kang actually loves him and like runs a fan account for him and has known who Lucifer is for a significant amount of time. And like is a genuine fan of his.
And has all of the merchandise.
Yeah, all of the merchandise. And so you have like Lucifer, this D-list celebrity, being like, no one even knows who I am. Kwon Jun Kang couldn't possibly like me. Then you have Kwon Jun Kang being like, oh my gosh, could Lucifer really like me? Like this person who to him matters, but doesn't value himself like Lucifer doesn't. And so it's just such a great story to see like their relationship build around it. And ultimately, like, it's one of the stories where usually like a miscommunication, like it can get hairy pretty fast if they don't clear it up. But it really does like kind of help to move the story forward, and it's resolved pretty quick.
Yeah, so. Well, I mean, the whole thing is only about 20 episodes, so it has to be resolved pretty quick. And I think that really helps this one. And I don't love like long ongoing miscommunications about the same thing over and over again. But this story I think does it really well. So it moves pretty quickly. You don't even realize that you've been reading about the miscommunication until it's over, and then you're like, oh, okay, I love this. No, it's great. I love the characters. They're super wonderful. And honestly, like, the one thing I've noticed about the 3 completed series so far, they're all so different. They are. All of the characters really are, like, the different settings, even in the other office romances, which we'll get there because there are some. But even in the other office romance ones, or even in the other idol ones, because there's another idol story we'll be talking about today, they are essentially all different. All of them are very unique. What is the genre tags, do you know, for Miss You, Lucifer? I honestly think it's one night stand, boy love romance. Okay. Yeah, because I know that Love of Cloud and Rain is fantasy, and New Recruit is drama, and then Miss You, Lucifer is, I think, one night stand. One night stand. Yeah. But I mean, essentially, they're all so good. And the characters are all so unique. And you can't help but fall in love with them. They're super sweet. They're so sweet. Another one with super, 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 super sweet characters. Like so sweet you'll get a cavity. Yes. Is Whispers Through the Willows, which is, I would say, one of our top top favorites. It is 47 episodes as of recording. It's an ongoing one, so if you want to read it, it comes out on the 3rd, the 13th, and the 23rd.
Which, if you've been on Manta for a while and you saw this when it first came out, this story specifically listed it as a 23rd release, not 23rd.
Which we refer to it lovingly now. It has been updated, so if you go look now, you'll see the 23rd.
But if you don't believe me, I have a screenshot.
We still call it the 23rd.
It's forever in our hearts, the 23rd.
But anyway, this story, it just tugs at all of my heartstrings. The characters are so cute and wholesome. I love them so much. So it is about Sangul. And he is believed to be the Omega son of Jodan Pharma's president, Han. And so it's also about Prince Ryok, who is the only member of the royal family who has unique traits. This is an Omega-verse story, so Sangul is an Omega and Prince Ryok is an Alpha. And growing up, Prince Ryok has faced adversity and he's gotten a lot of discrimination for his alpha traits. And so he is on a campaign, like personal mission, to change how people think about these unique traits that they call them. And because of this, he ends up partnering or teaming up with Jodong Pharma and sets up an arranged kind of fake marriage with Sangul. And President Han takes this to go into and like propel his own son forward, who is like a bastard son, and so he can't proclaim him as his son. So he uses this opportunity to present him as Sangul so that he can present him as his son to the world, because no one has seen Sangul. It's like very known that he's like a recluse and doesn't come out. He's very shy and doesn't want to be presented to the world. And so it kind of works that there's Sangul, the actual Sangul, and then the fake Sangul, which is President Han's son, both go to the palace. And there, while they're there, Prince Ryok starts getting close to the actual Sangul, not knowing that he is Sangul, and is at first just trying to get information about Sangul, about Jodong Pharma, so that he knows what he's going up against. But then the more he talks to him, the more he wants to be around him and wants to protect him and give him all of these experiences that he's never gotten to experience before. And so you learn about Sangul's past, which is not good at all, very traumatic. He's been sold to Jodong Pharma and was raised in a lab. And so he has absolutely no world experience. It is the most tragically heartbreaking story, but Prince Ryok just takes this and is like, I want you to experience everything, and I'm going to give you everything. And it's a beautiful story.
It is so beautiful. When I tell you that we were reading the most recent episode right before recording today.
Yeah.
And we were both in almost actual tears. It's true.
This series does a really good job of making episodes that start off as, oh my gosh, this is so cute, this is so cute, this is so cute. And then by the end, you are just on the edge of your seat waiting for the next episode, because something tragic has happened, or even if something good has happened, like it just leaves you wanting more week after week. And I think that's why it jumped to the top of both of our lists as a favorite.
I know. The cliffhangers are insane.
The cliffhanger, so like I said, there's 47 episodes out right now. So if you're reading this one and you know what the cliffhanger is, you know that we are just dying to know what's happening right now and to know what's going to happen next week.
But all of us know that Sangul and Prince Ryok are the best characters in the world. They are the sweetest and the best. And we want literally just for them to be happy. That's all
we want.
It's all we want. So if you're listening, Moscareto, that's all we want. I'm sure we'll have a happy ending. I've never been disappointed by a Moscareto story.
Yes, definitely.
So next up, we are actually going to be talking about Shoot for the Stars, which is another Idol story.
Yes. And okay, so Shoot for the Stars is 36 episodes. It's, again, an Idol story, but this one is from a very different perspective. So it's a boy love drama regression. And it's an active story, so if you want to read it week to week, it comes out on Manta on Thursdays. So this one is about Yoosung, and he was a former Idol trainee. He now is a manager for one of the other guys who was in his trainee group, Taewon. So he's Taewon's manager. Taewon is a current Idol, and he ends up getting arrested for drinking and driving. But it wasn't him who was drinking and driving. It was Taewon, and Taewon made him take the blame for it. And so he's, in the very beginning, he's in jail. And he's thinking about, how did I get here? What choices led me to this part of my life? And he kind of realizes that, like, it all started leading towards up to this when he was in Idol training. And so he makes a wish that he wants to go back in time, and he would do it all right, do everything different if he went back again, wouldn't fall in love with Taewon, and would try hard to become an Idol and, like, get a better position in his life. And it ends up happening. He goes back in time. He wakes up. Taewon is there. The other guys are there. Sangrok, Senwoo, and Wonjun, who I love. I love all of the characters in this one. And basically, when he goes back, he takes this opportunity, like he said he would, to not try and fall in love with anyone. He's going to use his knowledge of the future to help propel himself and the other guys so that they can be a successful Idol group, because basically they all fell apart and they all went different ways. And Taewon did become an Idol, but he became an individual Idol. And all of the rest of the guys went off and did different things as well. And so when he goes back and he, first realizes what's going on, he starts talking to the other guys in the group, and he realizes that he has a stats window that tells him all about his relationship status with the other characters, which he also uses to his advantage to kind of propel himself and his group forward to make it so that they're, like, super close and trust each other. And he kind of positions himself as the leader of the group. Like, he's not the most talented. He can sing and dance, but he's not the best at singing. He's not the best at dancing or the best at music. So, like, his role in their group is to be the leader. And yeah, it's just a really good story. And basically, once he decides, like, I'm not going to take this lightly, like, I've been given this opportunity and I'm going to take it seriously. So he starts walking through his life again, and somehow all of the other characters start falling in love with him. And that's where we are right now. We're just trying to make it through this life.
Yeah, honestly, Shoot for the Stars is great. There are so many characters, and again, this one is very different from, like, the Miss You Lucifer story. So it does have, like, some of those fun fantasy elements. Like, you have the stat window where he can, like, assess his relationship with the people around him. Mm-hmm. And you do have, just in general, like, there are 4 other guys who are essentially pining after him. So there's also, like, that element of surprise of, like, who's he gonna end up with? Like, it's a boy love.
Yeah.
Is it just, it's a boy love because they all love him? Or is it a boy love because he is going to get romantically entangled with one of them? And if so, which one?
Yeah, we've gone back and forth a couple of times. If I think it's gonna be this one, and I think it's gonna be that one, and maybe it is, and maybe it's gonna be none of them, like you said, and they're all just going to love him, and he's gonna rise to the top. Which he deserves because he's so sweet.
He does deserve it. So, yes, highly recommend. If you have not read Shoot for the Stars, I would say definitely hop right into it. It's great. A lot of the characters, they also have a lot of growth. Mm-hmm. It's so interesting how they do, like, the hop back in time. There is also a segment where essentially you get to see all of the characters' point of view from like the previous life versus the
Yeah.
now. And it is just so cool to see like where they were all at mentally, because when you see them right now from Yu-sung's point of view, it's very different in this life. So.
And it's interesting too because you see how he thought they thought of him versus how they actually thought of him. And of course it's different because you're never going to get that right, but it's so different of what they all thought about him and what he thought about himself and what he thought that everyone else thought about him.
Yeah, it is super fun. I mean, and to be fair, that's just everyday life.
Yeah.
Like, I think we all assume
Even
that.
without going back in time and having a stats window.
If only. I think, honestly, that'd make it a little bit easier sometimes.
I don't know if I want a stats window all the time, though. I don't want to see if people don't like me.
I know. That would make me self-conscious, honestly. So, totally fine. But somebody who could use a stats window is probably the character from the next story. One of my current favorite stories in general is actually a newer release from Moscareto. It is called Punch Drunk Love, which it only has 9 episodes out right now. The amount of joy that those 9 episodes have given me is honestly priceless.
It is hilarious.
It is so funny. I will say, I mean, like, that is a part of basically all of these stories. Not so much Whispers.
Yeah.
Whispers is definitely a different story. And, like, New Recruit has its moments, but it's not known as, like, a comedy in my heart. But Punch Drunk Love is actually categorized as a BL drama, but it's a comedy to me.
I'm surprised it's not categorized as a comedy first.
I know. It is one of the
Maybe
funniest.
it'll surprise us, though, as we keep going.
This is true. Maybe it will.
We're
It
only
might
9
take a
episodes
turn.
in.
I will say episode 9 did kind of like turn a couple of tables, but I
no.
won't spoil anything. Alex isn't caught up yet, so we'll go from there. But if you're interested in starting this one, if you have not already, it releases on the 5th, the 15th, and the 25th of every month. So it is set up with Sunwoo Park being a perfectly average person. He gets up every morning, does his daily routine, he wears his baggy suit, he puts on his glasses, and he goes to work as an accountant, and it's all very monotonous. And he's like perfectly comfortable and happy with this. The one thing he's not perfectly comfortable and happy with is that he has an obsession, and I mean that in the exact words, an obsession with Taemoon Jung, who is basically like the HR person at his job. He sees him. He's an extremely like outgoing and friendly person towards everybody. And so when Taemoon's like, "Hey, Sunwoo, have you eaten?" He's the person who like grasps onto that interaction, writes about it in his diary. Like, he is obsessed with Taemoon. And essentially, like, Sunwoo, being the perfectly average person he is, he's like, I don't have that many goals in my life. Like, I don't have things I'm striving for, but like, man, if only I had somebody like Taemoon. And so essentially there's a squabble in the office. He does end up having to meet up with Taemoon. And as they're talking, he sees what would be like in our like modern day, like a Grindr message pop up on Taemoon's phone, which is exclusively like a gay hookup app. So this makes Sunwoo ecstatic. And his brain basically short circuits. He has no idea what to do with this information. And he basically propositions Taemoon. In comes the miscommunication. Taemoon thinks it's almost a threat, like, you're going to expose that I'm gay if I don't hook up with you. And Sunwoo is like, I would never do that, but please, my only life's goal is to sleep with you. And so Taemoon basically takes it upon himself, with the fear that he's basically being blackmailed, to hook up with Sunwoo, but to make it the worst experience he's ever had. And essentially, he's failing in doing so. Sunwoo still loves him. And it's going to be kind of about that contrast of like, do they, don't they? Do feelings actually form from this? And I think Taemoon has like a lot of surprises around the corner, and Sunwoo as well, just about who they really are as people, because I think they have like a preconceived notion, and it's going to start to get shattered, I think.
Yeah, definitely. This one, I love this one. I think it's so funny. I love the Clark Kent moment where Sunwoo takes off his glasses and Taemoon just realizes that he's actually like really, really handsome and attractive. And
it's not just Taemoon either. Like in the first episode, there is like a female coworker who like goes to give him a piece of paper and he's cleaning his glasses like on his shirt or something. And the woman looks and she's like, oh my gosh. And then he puts the glasses back on. She's like, oh, that's weird.
The glasses are a superpower.
Must have been a trick of the light. Yeah, essentially. But yeah, I mean, like secretly Sunwoo is extremely hot when he takes his glasses off. And I do love it, like the way that it shifts.
And the journal too. I can't get over that he brings a journal to work that he only writes about his interactions with Taemoon in. I'm like, my personal self is thinking, oh my gosh, what if someone else at the office found that? What if someone was going through your drawers and just saw that?
I mean, honestly, the fact that they brought it up, and maybe it's just the fact that I read like all of these other webcomics where way worse stuff happens.
Yeah.
But there's always that sinking feeling inside of me where I go, is it gonna happen? Like, is somebody gonna find it? And it's going to challenge his relationship with Taemoon because then they're going to know.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like it could go, it's probably like 50-50 in my mind. It could go either way. If that's just like part of the setup of the story to understand the character.
To show how obsessed he is.
Yeah, or if it's like an actual plot driving device later on. I guess we'll have to see.
I know, we'll have to see. But anyways, if you are reading this one along with us, hopefully you're laughing as much as we are because it is absolutely hysterical.
Yes, it is. And another one that has just come out that is also hysterical and also a boy love comedy office romance is called You Get Me Going. I think it was just released last week.
Yeah.
It's only got 5 episodes out right now. It releases on the 7th, 17th, and 27th. So it's not very far along. You could catch up very easily. I'd argue in half an hour.
In our approximations.
And basically, I love this one. It's very similar to Punch Drunk Love in that it's a comedy office romance, but it's also very different because the like setup of the story so far is it starts in a very different place. So it's about Young Won Ko and Hyunwoo Kang. And they are co-workers at they work in research and development at like a tech agency. And they hate each other. Like they hate working together. They're always getting in arguments during meetings and just like they basically run different teams. Mm-hmm. And so they just don't get along. And so what ends up happening is they have a mutual friend. They don't know that the friend is mutual. And this mutual friend has set them up on a blind date. And so they both show up to this blind date and realize, oh my gosh, I don't want to go on a blind date with you. They didn't know that the other person was gay. So they have that of like, are you going to tell everyone at the office that like I'm gay now? And so they kind of have that first little interaction. It does not go well, obviously. The friend is like, oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize that you guys knew each other and also really, really hate each other. And so that kind of happens. That's their first, like, our introduction to the characters. Then they end up having to go on a work trip together. And of course, as is a beloved trope in the romance world, there's only one hotel room. It only has one bed. So they end up having to share a room and a bed at this hotel when they're on this business trip. And so they end up going out to eat on the business trip afterwards. They, again, we go back to if you're drinking on someone else's dime at the office, you're going to have a few drinks. They have a few drinks. They go back to the hotel and they end up hooking up. And that's it. Like, they end up hooking up. They end up working the next day. Kind of things are awkward because they don't like each other, but now they really know each other. And they end up going back to that same restaurant. The friend invites them both as kind of an apology. And so they're having dinner. And that's really as far as we are right now. They're talking about, like, kind of where do we go from here? they have a different understanding of their relationship now, and we'll see how this goes, but it's listed as a comedy, so I'm super excited to see what the next steps are.
Yeah, this is a definite true comedy. Like, even just in the opening panels, like, it had me rolling laughing. For like lack of better words, genuinely hate each other.
It's so funny.
It is a true enemies to lovers. And honestly, even in the hookup they had in the hotel room, it still doesn't feel like a lover's moment. It almost felt like it was a hookup out of spite.
Yeah.
And so I think it's setting it up to be a really funny and interesting story. Mm-hmm. So highly recommend. Get caught up on this one. It'll be an easy one to catch up with.
Yeah, if you want to get caught up quickly, start with this one. Start with Punch Drunk Love. And then work your way backwards. Unless you want to binge something and then start with our completed recommendations.
And then start forwards. Yeah, just why not? Start from completed and move on forward.
Or, throw it into a roulette wheel. Just let the
fates decide.
Let the fates decide.
Honestly, at the end of the day, there's no going wrong. I will say Moscareto, again, is just wonderful at putting together a non-toxic boy love story. I mean, there are obviously going to be some tropes in there that like trickle in.
Yeah.
But I would say every single moment I read these, like this is what gets me reading boy loves, because I know this is like one of your preferred genres, but I have like my own qualms with them a lot. Mm-hmm. Like I have a hard time looking past a lot of like the toxicity in other ones.
And I get it. Like some of them are very toxic and hard to read.
Yeah, it can be.
And none of these are.
No.
These are perfection.
Yeah, they are absolutely wonderful. I highly recommend you give them a try. And if you're not already into the boy love stories, this might actually be something that like helps you dip your toe.
Any of these stories would be good starting points.
Yeah, they're just true, honest, like love stories that are great. At the end of the day, wonderful characters, wonderful growth, and just wonderful writing.
Wonderful writing.
So thank you so much for joining us today while we talked about some of our favorite stories, but specifically ones from Moscareto.
And thank you, Moscareto, for writing such wonderful, wonderful stories that have us hooked every time.
Yes, please continue writing all of the stories to make us laugh, to make us cry, and to just make us happy at the end of the day. Because it really does make a difference. But thank you again so much for joining us, and we will talk to you on the next one.
Goodbye.
Bye.